In the morning, sunlight filled the farmhouse kitchen. The child sat near his father, but his mind was still in the night. He held his spoon for a long time without eating. His father noticed. "What is it, son?" The child looked at him with serious eyes. "Dad, I saw someone in my room last night." His father smiled softly. "Someone?" The child nodded. "I think it was a ghost." His father did not laugh. He only leaned closer, listening. "A ghost," he said gently. "Were you dreaming?" "No," the child said quickly. "I heard its footsteps. It was running in my room, and I saw its face near my toy box." His father looked thoughtful for a moment. "Son," he said, "I do not think there are ghosts in this world. But dreams can feel very real. Sometimes, when we are almost asleep, the mind can show us things so clearly that we think they are happening outside." The child frowned. "But I heard it." "I understand," his father said. "Tonight, do not be afraid. Try to notice carefully. Do not run from it. Do not fight it. Just watch. Ask yourself, is this real or am I dreaming?" The child became quiet. His father placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. That night, the child lay in his bed again, his mind full of questions and restless thoughts. The room was dark, lit only by a soft silver glow from the moon and stars outside the window. He stared up at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Then, slowly, he turned his head toward the toy box beside his bed. The little creature was there. It was standing close to him, silent and still, staring directly at his face with glowing red eyes. The child's body froze. His heart jumped. Before he could speak, everything vanished. He woke up. Morning came, but the fear had not left him. At breakfast, he told his father, "Dad, it was scary. I cannot tolerate it." His father listened gently. "I understand," he said. "Tonight, at dinner, I will show you a speech by a wise man on TV. Maybe his words will help you understand what is happening." At dinner, the family sat around the table while a calm teacher spoke on the television. The child was not listening at first. He pushed vegetables around his plate and thought about the ghost. Then the teacher said something that made him look up. "If you want to understand a problem, do not run away from it," the teacher said. "Do not search for escape and call it a solution. Stay with the problem. Look at it. If fear comes, notice fear. If the body wants to run, notice that too. When you react too quickly, you see your reaction, not the truth." The child's fork stopped in his hand. "Face fear without fighting it," the teacher continued. "Just watch. Sometimes you will discover that the monster was made of thought." That sentence stayed with the child all night. When he went to bed, he was still afraid, but now he had a small lamp inside the fear. He decided that if the ghost came again, he would look. "If it comes again, look carefully. Notice the room. Notice your body. Notice the creature. Then you may discover whether it came from the world outside or from the world inside your mind." The child looked down at the table. For the first time, he wondered if fear itself could wear a face. That night, the child lay in bed once again, his mind crowded with thoughts and questions. Sleep came only lightly, like a brief and fragile nap. Then he opened his eyes. A different creature was standing before him. It was not the small goblin-like figure he had seen before. This one was taller, darker, and far more strange. It was not quite a ghost, and not quite a monster. It looked more like a shadowy warrior, clad in armor like a knight from some unknown world, perhaps from a place of fire, or perhaps a guardian of a hidden realm. Its eyes glowed in the darkness. It was frightening, yet not hideous. There was something powerful and watchful about it, like a silent warrior. The creature slowly leaned closer to his face. The child froze. His heart leaped inside him like a trapped bird. Fear rushed through his whole body, and in the shock of that terrible moment, he woke up. The child sat frozen in his bed, still breathing fast. Then suddenly he remembered the wise man's words. "Do not react, do not fight, do not run, just see." His fear was still there, but he did not obey it this time. Slowly, he lay back down on his pillow. He pulled the blanket close, closed his eyes, and let his body become still. "I will only watch," he whispered to himself. "I will only see." And almost at once, as if the dream had been waiting for him, he fell asleep again. That same dream came again. The guardian of the hidden realm appeared once more, tall, dark, and silent, moving slowly toward the child's face. But this time the child did not panic. He stayed still. He only watched. He wondered what would happen. What could this strange guardian do to him? Why had it come again? So he kept looking quietly, deeply into its glowing eyes and shadowy face. Closer it came, closer and closer. Then, at the very moment its face touched his face, something new happened. The guardian did not attack. It did not roar. It did not frighten him anymore. Instead, it slowly began to disappear, dissolving into the darkness like smoke melting into space. And then, from that emptiness, a light appeared. At first it was small, soft, and far away. Then it grew wider, brighter, and more beautiful, as if a shining doorway were opening in the dark. The child watched in silent wonder. Inside the light, images began to form. They were blurry at first, like shapes seen through mist, but little by little the blurriness faded. The shapes became clearer, lines sharpened, colors awakened. Soon the child could see it clearly. It was a city street. Without even moving his body, he had entered a new dream, a new world. It was no longer the ghostly dream. It had changed into a normal dream, yet something was different this time. The child was aware. He still remembered who he was. He knew that he had been awake, then had entered the frightening shadow dream, and from there had passed into another dream, bright and real. For the first time, the child experienced the beginning of a dream while knowing it was happening. He saw how a waking state could slowly turn into sleep. He saw how one dream could open into another. He saw, in a small but unforgettable way, how a dream begins inside consciousness itself. He walked slowly through the city street, looking around in wonder. Everything was beautiful. The glowing streetlights, the shining windows, the tall dreamlike buildings, and the soft golden reflections on the stone road beneath his feet. After a while, he reached a wide square at the center of the city. Beautiful streets opened in every direction, and the buildings around him rose like castles of light. The child stopped in the middle of the square and looked up. The sky above him was more beautiful than anything he had ever seen. A bright moon floated among countless stars, and far beyond them, a soft galaxy stretched across the night like a river of purple and silver light. Scattered across the sky were glowing zodiac symbols, each one shining separately in a different place, as if the heavens had placed them there like secret signs waiting to be understood. And as he continued walking, the street began to change. The old dreamlike road slowly transformed into a modern, technology-filled street, bright with glowing signs, shining glass buildings, and beautiful lights that seemed to hum with life. Yet the sky above remained just as wondrous, wide and magical, filled with beauty that made the new world feel both advanced and enchanted at the same time. Moreover, as the child walked along the street, he noticed words written on a wall. But the words were not stable. Each time he read them, they changed into something else, as if the wall itself were dreaming. He then noticed a building with the word exhibition shining above its door. Curious, he stepped inside. There, he discovered wonders beyond anything he had ever imagined. It was not like the exhibitions of the real world, where people simply touch machines or watch robots and drones move from a distance. In this strange dream world, everything felt alive and immersive. He did not merely observe the inventions, he experienced them. He rode with drones through the air, moved with robots as if he were inside their world, and explored dazzling scenes that felt like magical 3D and 4D adventures. At that moment, a shop worker smiled at the child and said, "Son, it is morning. Get up. Breakfast is ready." The child paused. That voice did not belong to the dream. It was his mother's voice coming from the real world. The bright exhibition, the robots, the drones, and the glowing halls began to fade. The dream world softened like mist in sunlight. Then he opened his eyes. He was back in his bed with morning light entering through the window. His mother was calling him from outside the room. "Breakfast is ready." The child sat up slowly, still carrying the wonder of the dream inside him. That morning, the child sat with his father at the breakfast table, still glowing with excitement from the night before. "Dad," he said, "I faced my fear. I did not run from the ghostly dream. I watched it quietly, and then I crossed through it. After that, I experienced amazing things." His father smiled with warmth and pride. "That is good, my son," he said. "You are beginning to understand. Today, I will buy you 4 books written by the wise man you saw on TV. Perhaps they will help you go even deeper." Later that day, his father returned home carrying 4 books in his arms. When the child saw them, his eyes widened. He held the books close to his chest as if they were treasures from another world. A new kind of adventure was waiting for him now. He began by reading the book titled The Nature of Dreams, Face Your Fear. As he turned the pages, he slowly began to understand something surprising. The book said that a dream is not something separate from the dreamer. Whether the dream is frightening, joyful, strange, beautiful, or ghostly, it still rises from the dreamer's own mind. The book explained, "One is the god of one's own dreams. If you want to know this for yourself, do not run, do not fight, and do not react. Simply watch what is happening." The child closed the book and sat quietly for a while. If he was truly the creator of his own dreams, then perhaps the ghostly dreams were not enemies at all. Perhaps they were only shapes made by his own mind. He wanted to know if it was true. That night, he decided to test it for himself. The child went to bed with a clear purpose. He did not simply want to sleep. He wanted to enter the dream knowingly, to test whether the book was true. He lay down, closed his eyes, and became very still. He did not force sleep to come. He did not chase any thought. He did not imagine anything. He did not react to the darkness behind his eyes. He only remained aware. Quietly, gently, he watched. His body rested on the bed, but his attention stayed awake, waiting to see what would happen when sleep and awareness met. Then a dream came, but at first he did not know he was dreaming. He found himself in the middle of a great battle, surrounded by brave warriors. The battle was not cruel or bloody, but powerful and intense, like a legendary story from an ancient world. He fought beside the others, and together they won. After the battle ended, the warriors returned to the castle at the center of the kingdom. When the child entered the castle, he was amazed. Its beauty was beyond words. Gardens bloomed around the stone paths. Tall columns rose gracefully to hold the shining ceilings. Sunlight poured through wide windows, touching everything with gold. Young warriors stood everywhere, girls and boys dressed in beautiful armor, smiling, laughing, and speaking with him as if he belonged there. The child looked around in wonder. Then suddenly something awakened inside him. The child noticed that with every step he took, the view around him kept changing. Scenes shifted, colors moved, and the dream world reshaped itself as if it were alive. He stopped. "Wait," he whispered. "I am dreaming." He knew it. While the dream was still happening, he began to look around with awareness. This time, he was not only enjoying the dream, he was studying it. He looked carefully at everything he could see, the patterns on the walls, the tall columns, the shining ceilings, and the beautiful clothes worn by the people around him. Every detail seemed perfect. Every line, shape, and color looked carefully made. He became confused. If all of this is created by my own mind, he thought, then how is it possible? He looked at the delicate patterns again. I cannot even write neatly on paper with a pen. My handwriting is ugly, so how could my mind create patterns this clean, this beautiful, this perfect? He stared at the castle in wonder. The more he looked, the harder it was to believe. Did I really create all of this? He whispered to himself. Can this amazing castle truly be built by my own mind? He then remembered a line from the book. One is the god of one's own dreams. If you want to know this for yourself, do not run, do not fight, and do not react. Simply watch what is happening. So the child decided to do exactly that. He stopped reacting to everything around him. He did not answer, did not move with excitement, and did not follow the dream in the usual way. He only watched. At once, something strange began to happen. The people in the dream, the girls, the women, the men, the heroes, and all the others, slowly stopped talking to him. Their movements became uncertain and unstable. Then, one by one, they drifted toward the same place and stood there doing nothing. It was as if the whole dream had paused. They no longer seemed alive in the same way as before. Instead, they felt as though they were waiting, quietly and patiently, for his next action. The child began to sense something important, that perhaps the dream moved with his attention, and without his reaction, it did not know what to do next. He looked at the dream characters without reacting, only observing and analyzing them quietly. Then one of the dream characters leaned closer and said gently, "Honey, it is morning. Breakfast is ready, get up." Then he woke up. For a moment he stayed still in his bed, staring at the morning light. The book was telling the truth, he whispered. He remembered everything, the dream, the castle, the silent characters, and the strange way the whole dream seemed to wait for him when he stopped reacting. A quiet excitement began to grow inside him. If one teaching from the book was true, then what about the others? He wanted to read more. He wanted to test more. He wanted to explore every idea for himself, not only by believing the words, but by experiencing them directly. The 4 books were no longer just books. To him, they had become doors. At first, the book had seemed frightening to him, especially when it spoke of ghosts and monsters. But now he understood. There were no ghosts and monsters separate from him. They were shapes created by his own mind, just like all the other beautiful and wonderful things in his dreams. Realizing this, he felt a new joy growing inside him. Now he could explore more, enjoy more, and walk deeper into the world of dreams without fear, he thought to himself. In the book, he read about a special kind of dream called an astral journey. The book explained what it was and how it could be experienced. The child became eager to try it for himself. From then on, he wanted to enter dreams both during the day and at night. So, he spent the day helping his parents in the garden and joining his grandfather in the farm work. He worked hard with joy, hoping that by making his body tired, sleep would come easily and open the door to another dream experience. After helping his grandfather on the farm, he finally felt tired. "I am tired," he said. "Let me go and sleep." His grandfather smiled warmly and said, "Go and rest, my child." Gladly, the child ran back to the house, hurried into his room, and jumped onto his bed. Then he made himself calm and relaxed, just as he had learned before, but this time with awareness and quiet attention. He waited for sleep and for the dream to begin from the very first moment. He lay there like a young master of dreams. And truly, he had begun to become the master of his own dreams. He waited quietly for the dream to begin. But then, suddenly, he woke up. At least he thought he woke up. He got out of bed and began walking through the house. Everything looked normal. The furniture was in its usual place. The rooms were quiet. The light, the walls, the floor, everything seemed exactly as it should be. He looked around carefully, trying to notice anything strange. Nothing seemed different. Then all at once he woke up again. This time he was back in his bed. He sat up, surprised and confused. "What just happened?" he whispered. Had he truly woken up before? Or had he only dreamed that he woke up? He could not understand it yet, but he felt that something important had happened. The dream had tricked him by copying the real world. So he made a plan.